As I sat down and wrote this script, I realized that no matter what I say, someone is going to get pissed off in the comments. So here's my disclaimer. This is just my opinion, and it's okay if we disagree. You don't need to go to the comments and call me a aura over a game that's over 2 decades old. So fuck it. Here's my opinion on GoldenEye versus Perfect Dark. Oh man, where to even begin with these classics? I guess a little bit of backstory might help. With 007, it was actually originally supposed to be a rail shooter for the Super Nintendo, and the team only had 2 experienced developers, and they kind of were like, yeah, we're not doing that. So they switched to the brand new Nintendo 64 and wanted it to be a first-person shooter where you can move freely. Multiplayer, oddly enough, was actually more so an afterthought, and it was only developed by mainly one person, which was Stephen Ellis. GoldenEye was released in 1997, while as Perfect Dark came out in 2000. Perfect Dark actually used the same engine as GoldenEye, but obviously it was modified, and pushed the Nintendo 64 to its limit. Like, for instance, they wanted to give Joanna a flashlight, but the hardware would not allow for that. Light and dark was actually like a big factor into the game. So since they couldn't do the flashlight, they actually had different lights that you could shoot out, and they wanted there to be a stealth element to the game. And looking back at the game, it was actually pretty impressive what they were able to pull off. Oh, and you remember that really shitty movie called Joan of Arc? Joanna Dark, the main character you play as in Perfect Dark, is actually based off of the French pronunciation of Joan of Arc, which is Gianna Dark. Kind of pointless information, but interesting nonetheless. So to begin this comparison, I played through both of the games, paying attention to all the little details, and compiled a list of pros and cons for each game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Ah, the Falcon. Such a classic. It's a gun that you use a lot going through the campaign, and it just has a very nostalgic sound for me personally. Whether it's silenced or unsilenced, it just sounds so good.
Me. me. Bring it on. I'm bleeding. She got me. Why me?
I don't think many would disagree with me when I say that Perfect Dark would win in the gun category, simply because of the amount of guns and the diversity of guns. GoldenEye really only has military-grade generic guns, while as Perfect Dark has some of those, but then has a wide variety of sci-fi guns like the Cyclone, the Farsight, the Callisto NTG, the laptop gun you can throw and it becomes a sentry gun, the Dragon you can throw and it blows up, the shotgun freaking goes all the way up into the air and it just feels like you're blowing a big ass shell. The Reaper becomes a grinder and you can just grind up motherfuckers, dude. That is hilarious. The Magnum feels just like the shotgun in the aspect that you just feel like you're blowing dudes away, like you're Freddie Mercury. So yeah, with all that said, I think Perfect Dark beats GoldenEye when it comes to guns. GoldenEye didn't even have a reload animation for their guns. To be fair, Perfect Dark came out 3 years after GoldenEye, but it just blows GoldenEye out of the water when it comes to the guns. The opening to GoldenEye. Such a classic. Need I say more? Obviously, this particular track is golden, but we're going to go ahead and take a dive into all of the music within this game to see how it stacks up to Perfect Dark and all of its music. This song right here I've heard more than probably any other song in this game. It was the first mission, so it's the mission I played the most. And the beginning intro, man, does that just get you pumped up and ready to go. Like, honestly, that intro gets me so pumped up, and then once the music kicks in, I start headbanging. So yeah, I'd give this track a 10 out of 10. Again, with this intro, it just really gets you pumped and ready to go. The music in this game is definitely one of its strong suits. It may never compare to Wii Shop music, but damn, this is good. This music says it all, man. I'm in a cold, dark, and scary place. Any second my fingers could get frostbite. This is a very intense area that I'm in, and this music portrays it perfectly. Love this track, but honestly, I don't think it fits this mission. It kind of has like a stealthy vibe to it, and this mission is anything but stealthy. Still a solid track, though. Okay, this is honestly one of my favorite tracks. It is metal as hell with all the drums and guitar that's in it, and then it brings in that retro vibe with the keyboard. Oh man, this gets me pumped, and it's just a solid track. 10 out of fucking 10, without a doubt. Yeah, so this is a heavier version of the first mission track, and I absolutely love this. It gets me pumped, and yeah, 10 out of goddamn 10. This track is a remix of tracks we've already heard, but this mission is a mission that we've already played, so it kind of makes sense. It gives it a much darker tone though. You hear the wind just going and going and going. It's darker out than it was in the original mission, so I think this track does a good job indicating that you're in a much harsher environment than in the first mission. So I'd say overall it's a pretty good track and does what it needs to do. No complaints here. Again, another pretty good track, does what it needs to do, builds up suspension, and has an undertone of giving hope. Personally, this track stood out to me compared to some of the other tracks. The intro has a very creepy, dark vibe to it, which really sets the tone for the map itself, because it's a very dark one. And speaking on the map itself, this is just a guess, but I imagine this is one of the first maps that was created, because this seems like it could be a rail shooter on the Super Nintendo because of how linear this is. You're just constantly going forward. But anyways, yeah, this is a very solid track. 10 out of 10, baby. Yeah, it's another James Bond track. Shit's amping up and you're an army of one and it's battle day. Solid track and does what it needs to do. Another great track that's building up suspension and gets you hyped up. Not much more to say than good job, Rare. This track is hype as fuck. Only thing is the beginning might be not hype enough. Maybe take the middle part, make that the beginning, and you've got yourself a hype track. Groovy and a little bit weird, but damn it, I like it. You know, I was really feeling it at the beginning. I thought it was going to take a cowboy bebop top style and be fun. But then it goes to the regular type music, and I was disappointed, man. I was wanting some of that cowboy bebop vibes, man. I wanted some jazz. Pretty solid track, but for the final track, I don't know, I feel like it could have been just slightly better. Overall, it's a very cohesive soundtrack, and I don't know if I could really have asked for more. My nitpicks were just that, nitpicks. And honestly, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best soundtracks out of any game ever made. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to add my text replies to the Perfect Dark music so that it doesn't take nearly as long to go through it. This intro to the game just sets the tone of the whole game perfectly. And yes, it is my nostalgia speaking right now, but damn it, it counts for something. It's nostalgic because of how iconic it is. Man, I hate even interrupting this song, and I wanted to include the whole song in this video, but if I started doing that, this video would be 2 hours long. This song, though, it's just ingrained inside of my mind because it's the menu music. I would fall asleep with having the game on, and I would wake up hearing this. This is such a nostalgic track for me, and I love it. It's iconic, and it gets you hyped. Similar sound to what we've already heard thus far. I dig it. Makes for a cohesive soundtrack. You finished the first tutorial-like level? Shit's getting serious now. Let's fucking go. This track is hype. New vibe, kind of slow and mysterious. Got me wondering. I like this spy-like track. Alrighty, so I don't think I really need to play the rest of the soundtracks. You should be able to see the pattern already, but if you want to listen to the rest, you could always look it up on YouTube. So, getting into it though, every single track starts off slow and it slowly builds up. Usually it'll start with one or two instruments playing, and then in the middle they'll start adding some alien type sounds, some futuristic type sounds. Different songs have different amounts. Sometimes there'll be 2, maybe even 3 different parts where they're adding in certain instruments onto what was already playing in the beginning. And then with every single track, once you get to the last bit of the mission, it has a bang, and then it just starts to go super fast pace, picking it up, and it gets the adrenaline pumping, and you're like, oh man, I gotta go, I gotta get this done, I gotta finish this mission, man. And it just does this perfectly. So yeah, while listening to the whole soundtrack to this game, I just kind of found myself nodding along with a lot of the beats, and sometimes even full on like headbanging and just really, getting into it like I would like an actual song. The implementation of all of the different instruments and just different sound effects just subtly put into every single track to form this cohesive soundtrack is just mind-boggling to me how perfectly it was put together. I honestly don't think it could have been done any better. Now, before I say this, let me just state that I do love GoldenEye, start to finish. This is just me analyzing it for what it is. As I was listening through the entire soundtrack for GoldenEye, I found that they were using the James Bond leitmotif throughout the entire thing. Leitmotif being the GoldenEye theme song. So while the tracks did fit the maps in GoldenEye just as well as Perfect Dark did, I feel like more work went into Perfect Dark because Perfect Dark didn't use a reoccurring theme like GoldenEye did. And the reason why I'm analyzing it like this is because I love both tracks so much and both of them hold nostalgia for me. So I thought it to be more fair, I would look at it from a technical standpoint opposed to, oh, I like this more than this. The quality of the recordings for both games are really good, and honestly I could see why someone would like GoldenEye more than Perfect Dark or vice versa. But for me personally, after analyzing and listening to both games on repeat, I'm gonna have to say I just liked Perfect Dark a little bit more, which is kind of weird because I usually don't like sci-fi themed stuff, so it doesn't really make much sense. But the whole vibe that Perfect Dark has, it's a little bit on the darker end, while as GoldenEye kind of has like a rock vibe and a upbeat vibe, Perfect Dark has like a sci-fi darker vibe to it, and it's just something I like a lot more, and I'm not too sure why, and I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate in the comments for it, but I'm gonna have to give the music aspect to Perfect Dark personally and technically. I just kind of felt it was overall more of a cohesive soundtrack, and they fit the levels just so well. And like I said, I could see why someone might prefer the GoldenEye soundtrack. I love the GoldenEye soundtrack. I spent a long time listening to both soundtracks, and it was not an easy decision to make. Alright, so for mechanics, I'm going to go ahead and give it to GoldenEye. It is so much easier shooting people in the face on GoldenEye, and then on Perfect Dark, the auto aim assist on GoldenEye just works so well, while as for Perfect Dark, it takes a second for your gun to move on to the person, and if you're going to try to manual aim, it's hard on both, but for the auto aim, the GoldenEye just has it way better. So with campaign, I'm going to go ahead and also give that to GoldenEye because it had been so long since I played it, I kind of forgot both games. So playing through it again, GoldenEye, it was much easier. Let me start this premise by saying I am not that good at video games. So with GoldenEye, trying to figure out what I had to do wasn't that hard, while as with Perfect Dark, it tells you the objective, but it doesn't really tell you exactly, and it's very broad, and it's just hard to figure out. There were certain missions I would fail 20 times and still just not know what I'm doing wrong. Because in Perfect Dark, you have to do something that's so particular. Like if there's one mission, Chicago, where if you go out into the street, you fail. If you blow up the car, you fail. If someone blows up the car, you fail. And it is a very particular set of order of things that needed to happen. And trying to figure out the order in which things need to happen and what you need to do is just one of the most frustrating things. Perfect Dark just has level after level that is very frustrating, trying to figure out what you need to do. I remember there was one level for Area 51, I was stuck, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to blow up a wall, and there's a couple levels where you needed to blow up the wall. The first time, I didn't realize I had to blow up a wall. I ended up having to look it up. There's just a bunch of things, like, there's one level where I had to scan something. I didn't even know I had a scanner. Like I said, it's probably users' fault, but for Perfect Dark, I just got so irritated at the game. While as for GoldenEye, it was more to the point and easier to figure out what you need to do. So if you like an easier game, I'd go with GoldenEye. If you were wanting a game that's hard to figure out and just irritating at times, Perfect Dark. Now, I will say I do prefer Perfect Dark for any playthrough that isn't the first playthrough, because once you know what you need to do, Perfect Dark is way more fun in my opinion. But for first playthrough, I'd give it to GoldenEye. Now, I know you guys have probably been wondering, what's his opinion on the multiplayer? Unfortunately, I'm going to blue ball you and tell you that I'm not going to be giving it a rating, because with couch co-op games like these, it honestly kind of depends on who you're playing with. Truth be told, you could be playing one of the worst games ever made, you know, like EA, Star Wars, or Destiny 2, but if you're playing with one of your good friends, you're going to be having a good time regardless. And honestly, that's one of the most beautiful things about video games, is how it brings people closer together, and you can be having a good time even if it's a crappy game. So honestly, I mean, regardless of how you feel about which one you like better, just think about the memories you had with Perfect Dark and GoldenEye back in the day. Did you and your brother fight a lot over it? Did you guys spend a lot of time together because you guys were playing it? Did it bring over the neighborhood friends? Did it make for some pretty good nights? Stuffing your face with some food and not worrying about anything else other than killing all of your friends and making sure you get first place? I was the younger brother, so I always got stuck with the crappy controller, and honestly, that might have affected how I played. Just kidding, I was really bad at the game. But, you know, I just remember we had this one thing we would sing. We would always be like, feeling blue and you don't know what to do, kill. And then you would, you know, say the person who's winning. So yeah, it's been a really fun time looking back at both these games, playing both of them again, and just kind of reliving my childhood, and, you know, certain memories would pop up as I'm playing through both of the games. I think I definitely have a preference towards Perfect Dark opposed to GoldenEye. Not too sure why that is. I played both of them a really good amount. Honestly, I think Perfect Dark took GoldenEye and just cranked it to 11. Other than the auto aim, everything is just done so much better. The maps, the music, the guns, the sound effects, just everything about Perfect Dark is a lot like GoldenEye, just cranked to 11. And, you know, it's the same developers, so that makes sense. You know, GoldenEye was their baby. It was their first game, and they learned a lot making that game, and then when they went to make Perfect Dark, they had more experience under their belt. So, truth be told, whenever I actually sat down to make this video, I never had the intention of saying one is better than the other. They both are very, very good games, and depending on your childhood, you could like one more than the other. Like I said, there's so many different factors, and for me, I personally liked Perfect Dark. I just thought it would be cool to look back at it and analyze both games and kind of just, you know, reminisce on it. This is my first, like, long-form video analyzing games like this, so I'm sure there's a lot of things I can improve upon in future videos. If you have any sort of critique, you know, feel free to comment down below. Hopefully you guys had just as much fun as I did making this video, watching this video, and just kind of reminiscing on your childhood too. Anyways, guys, if you did like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up a doodle and comment down below what your thoughts are. Which one did you like better? You know, do you have any funny memories of back in the day? Anyways, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Y'all have a good one.